Welcome back to Spelling and Word Study. My name is Mrs. Rhoades, and I'm here to get you started on Unit 4, Short O. Please take a second to gather your materials. You should have your blue book open to page 29, and you will also need some colorful writing utensils. Remember, whatever I mark on the board, you will be marking on your paper. Please save space for a key, either on this page, a separate sheet of paper, or a sticky note. Remember, at any point, if I'm going too fast, you can always hit pause and catch up. All right, so let's get started. Over the past few weeks, we have been focusing on short vowel sounds. We started with short A, then short I, then short E. Now we're moving on to short O. So the first thing I want to do is read the list of words to you. Remember, I'll read them, you repeat them back to me. And as we do that, I want you to listen for that short O, ah sound in each word. All right, here we go. Blossom, bottom, closet, common, Congress, constant, cotton, gossip, pollen, problem, prophet, response, robin, rotten, and solid. Did you hear that ah sound over and over again? Great. You probably also noticed that once again, all of the words on our list are 2-syllable words. So let's start by choosing a color, and we're going to slice each word into 2 syllables, starting with blossom between the double S's, bottom between the double T's, closet after the S, common between the double M's, Congress after the N, constant after the N, cotton between the double T's, gossip between the double S's, pollen between the double L's, problem after the B, prophet after the the F, response after the E, robin after the B, rotten between the double T's, and solid after the L. Okay, in our key, pink vertical line represents a syllable break. Okay, now that we've done that, we notice that in each of those words we have a stressed syllable and an unstressed syllable. The stressed syllable we say a little louder, a little bit stronger. We're going to mark those with another color. We're just going to put a little check mark. So in the word blossom, we say the first part louder. Bottom, closet, common, Congress, constant, cotton, gossip. Notice so far it's always our first syllable. That's not the case in the whole English language, but when I put together this list, I was focusing on words that had the first syllable stressed. Pollen, problem, prophet, but look at this one, response. This time it's the second syllable. Robin, rotten, solid. Blue check equals stressed syllable. that will be the part of the word that's easy for you to spell because it's got the short O, which you're experts on. It might have a blend, but you can sound out, you can hear all the pieces in blas, bot, claws, com. There's nothing tricky there. The tricky part comes in the unstressed syllable. Remember, that's the lazy syllable. We say it a little softer and we don't enunciate our words or our syllables as clearly, which means a lot of those vowel sounds all kind of get morphed together into an sound. Doesn't matter if it's an A, an E, an I, an O, a U, it's gonna come out sounding like We call that sound the schwa. So let's look for some schwa sounds in our unstressed syllables. So in the word blossom, you can hear that sound represented by O. Same thing in bot, claws, com, con, grus, constant, cot, gas, up. So far we've used an O, an E, an A, and an I to all make that sound. Pal, prob, prof, response. Here we don't have an unstressed syllable. I mean, we do have an unstressed syllable. We don't have a schwa because you can clearly hear the E in response. So we just don't circle anything there. Rob, rot, sol, In all of these words, that green circle represents our schwa, which is an sound. This is where you're going to want to focus your attention this week as you're learning to spell these words. Really stretch out that vowel in your mind. Blossom, batam, claws, et. That will help you spell the words better. Okay, so now I want to draw your attention to this word right here. The word Congress. What does Congress have that none of the other words have this week? An uppercase letter at the beginning, right? That uppercase letter tells us that this is a proper noun. We're not just talking about any old Congress. We are talking about Congress, the United States Congress, the group of legislators that meet in Washington, D.C. to make up laws for our country. So that is a very specific group of people, which is why they have an uppercase C at the beginning of their name. So red rectangle equals proper noun. Okay, the next thing I want you to look at are prefixes. So we've talked about prefixes before. We know that they are tacked on at the beginning of a word and they give us a clue to the word's meaning. So, for instance, look at the word response. You've seen the prefix re before. You know that re can mean do it again, right? Like you have to repaint or reheat, but it can also mean back, like a rebound. So in this case, the word response, well, think about it. A response is an answer. So you say something and then someone responds. So they answer back. Okay? So whenever we see a word that starts with re, even if it's a word we've never seen before, we can think, does it have something to do with doing something again, redoing it? Or does it have something to do with back, like answering back? Okay, we also have, I'm just peeking at my list here, we also have a prefix in the beginning of the word Congress. Now this is a prefix you might not have seen before. Sometimes it is con, con, sometimes it's com, sometimes it's col, col, and sometimes it's co. But all of them together represent a prefix that means together, or among. So if we think about a Congress, it is a group of people that come together to make laws for our country. So that's why that prefix fits nicely there. All right, so over here, orange box equals prefix. Okay, so we can't talk about prefixes without talking about suffixes. Prefixes go to the beginning of a word. Suffixes get tacked on to the end of a word. Now, looking through our list, I don't see any suffixes, but there is a suffix, a pretty common suffix, that we could add to many of these words, and that is the ly suffix. And if you look at page 32, you'll notice you're going to have some practice with that ly suffix. The ly suffix changes an adjective, a describing word, to an adverb. So, for instance, I have the word constant, right? If someone, let's say there is constant traffic outside my window or constant noise. Constant means non-stop. It is a describing word. But if I take ly and tack it on to the end, I have a new word, constantly. So there is constant noise because cars are constantly driving by, right? See how constantly describes what they're doing. They're driving. So that's our adverb. I could do the same thing by adding an ly to common, right? We could talk about foods that are common or names that are common. Those are things that we hear over and over again. We could change it to commonly, and now it becomes an adverb. So people named Matthew are commonly referred to as Matt. Okay? Commonly is describing the verb. They are referred to by a nickname. So we can change common to commonly, constant to constantly. We could do the same thing with rotten, rottenly. That's not a word we hear very often, but it's a real word. He rottenly grabbed my candy out of my hand. Solidly is also, we can take the adjective solid and change it to solidly, right? He solidly scored 100 on his spelling tests. We're just using the word solidly to describe how well he scored. So just keep that in mind. On here, anywhere I added a pink ly, I added a suffix, okay? You will hear more about that later in this unit. All right, before I let you go, let's just quickly make sure we know the meanings of our words. Blossom means bloom, right? Like I can't wait for the tulips to blossom. Bottom, opposite of top, you know that. Closet, something with a door where you store all your clothes or your food. Common means you see it a lot. A common name, a common place. Congress we talked about, right? A group of people that makes laws. Okay, in our government, we have 3 branches of government. We have the executive branch, that would be our president or our governor. We have the judicial branch, that would be the judges, the people who listen to court cases and decide if our laws are fair. And then our 3rd branch is our legislative branch. Those would be our Congress people, our senators, our representatives, the people that come together in Congress to make laws. Constant, nonstop, Cotton is a plant that's turned into cloth. So my shirt is made out of cotton. It actually comes from the cotton plant. Gossip, that is like rumors, hurtful talk, when you talk about people behind their back and you say mean things about them or maybe things that are not true. That is gossip. So I'm just going to write for gossip, I'm going to write hurtful talk. Pollen, that's a powder, usually it's yellow. Pollen is something that plants make. They produce it and that helps them make seeds. So when bees and birds and butterflies land on a plant to get the nectar, they're looking for that sweet nectar, but the pollen is getting all over their feet and their wings. So then when they fly to the next plant, they are accidentally delivering pollen to the next plant, and then that plant can use the pollen to produce seeds. You also hear this word in the spring because as plants produce pollen, a lot of people are allergic, so they start sneezing, they get headaches, itchy eyes. A lot of those symptoms are due to an allergy to pollen. Okay, that can be a problem, you know that word. Profit, that's the money you get to keep after you pay all your bills. So if you open a lemonade stand and you spend $10 on the lemonade and the plastic cups and the signs, but then you sell all your lemonade for $15, take away that $10 that you spent, the $5 is your profit. That's the money you get to keep. A response is an answer. A robin is a little bird. Rotten can mean a couple different things. It can mean mean, like, oh, my big brother is so rotten. He's always rotten to me. That would be one meaning, but it can also be used to describe food that goes bad. Ooh, don't eat that. I think it's rotten. I think it's spoiled. And then the last word, solid. If something's solid, it's hard, it holds its shape. Remember, we have different states of matter. We have liquids, gases, and solids. So if it's something you can hold in your hand, it is a solid. All right, that's all I have for you today. Good luck, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.